Alright, you're with Al, and this is Chronicles of a Not Yet Champion Golfer. I hope everyone's alright at the minute during lockdown. I don't know what day of lockdown it is now. I've completely lost track. I thought of a thing the other day, and I'm trying not to think what day it is. I'm just trying to make sure I get a little bit better every day. Yeah? Like a philosophy. Al's philosophies. Anyway, I've got a hat on. As you can see, it's quite obvious that I've got a hat on because someone pointed out I can't control my right eyebrow. I don't know what it's doing, and I thought the peak might have hidden it, but now I can see, you can still see it. And it's like up here, like my right eyebrow goes up here, my left eyebrow goes down there. I don't know why. Last week on Friday, we did episode 2 of Down the Line, me and the Biff, and we had Danny Willett, Slammer, who's Dan's caddy, and Muffy, who's Dan's manager. I'll put the link, I think it goes up above here somewhere. I'll put the link to that video up here if you haven't watched it. But we spoke a bit about Slammer, who's a really good player. We spoke a bit about his short game, and he struggles a bit with short game. And he played Augusta with a dodgy short game, which was quite an interesting story. But I've struggled with my short game massively, so I could sort of empathise. Empathise? It's a good word, isn't it? I could empathise with what Sam was saying because my short game was terrible. Like, I double hit it more often than not. You'd call it the yips, if there's such a thing as the yips, like I had it. But I got over that, and I'm quite proud of getting over that, to be honest. But that being said, my short game's not quite as good as it needs to be. I need to get it closer, and I need to keep practicing it. So that's what today's video is. It's on the short game. I'll talk you through what I do in terms of my practice, how I break it down. So I'll do the technical aspects of my chipping, which I think has really improved recently because of a book that I've read, which is the best short game book I think I've ever read. Break it down, my technique, how I then take it outside into the garden. I've got a fun challenge at the end. When I say fun, yeah, that's what we'll do. But to do these challenges, you need, well, even the technique bit, you need a couple of little bits to do it, which you should have around your house somewhere. This one's very, very high tech. Mirror jobby! But see, I've got masking tape on it. And the masking tape is the really high tech bit of it. That's one of the most important bits of my practice. I know that sounds a bit mad, but that is like pretty much the key, I think, to staying on top of my technique. So a bit of background on where my chipping was at. Well, I went to the States in 2004, went on a golf scholarship. And when I come home for the summer, 2005, I played the English Amateur, which was our home course at Bromborough, where me and the Biff play. And the second round, we were all square through 18, went up the 19th. I remember I had a 70-yard shot in, and that was the first time I really felt like I might be getting some sort of issue with those sort of shots. And I remember feeling, it's not just uncomfortable, like nervous, because I expect that to happen in that situation, but it was like a little bit of a difference of feeling nervous to feeling completely fearful over a shot. And from there on, I probably panicked a little bit and sort of developed my own mental issue because I didn't address the technical issues properly. So I always think like you can fix a mental issue, but if your technique isn't right, it's still not going to make you hit good shots. And that's where I was at. So I just spent loads of time trying to get my head in the right place, but not in the right way, just doing it myself. But my technique was terrible, and I just changed it on a weekly basis, trying to find something that worked just relentlessly. Like, I hit so many pitches and chips. Went back to America, my problems just got deeper. Didn't really have a coach out there, and I just it went terrible. I was hitting like 15 greens in regulation and shooting 79 and stuff. One thing I'd say massively, if you feel like you're struggling with your short game, if you feel like you've got mental issues with it, I'm pretty certain it comes from technical issues, and they're the first things you need to improve. First is the technique. Know that you're doing the technique right, then start to work on it properly, and then you can start to work mentally, like get your mental approach right and build confidence, because you can only build confidence when you can hit good shots through a sound technique that works in tournaments. So that's what I'm going to talk about now. Talk about through the technique that I've been using, and I've got this from a book. Well, I haven't got this technique through a book. I've read a book recently which really kind of struck home with me, the little bits I've been working on, but this just kind of felt like it kind of clicked. I can't click properly. That's as loud as I can click, and I feel like I'm going to break my thumb when I do it. So I'm not going to do it anymore. So the book is called Your Short Game Solution by James Sieckmann. Quality. One of the best books I've ever read to do with the short game anyway. It just lays it out really simply, and the techniques that he talks about is similar to what I was doing, but him talking through setup, grip, ball position, the way the club moves back, and a couple of checkpoints that you can look at yourself when you're practicing made really good sense to me as to why some of the bad shots I hit, I actually hit them. And I think that's a big thing, is understanding where your like tendencies are, or your main faults that you actually do when you hit a bad shot, because then you can start to work them out and you become more consistent in creating the technique that you want. And that's what this book did for me. Just a couple of little tweaks in terms of setup and the way I move the club away. I feel I've got a better short game for it. Right, first thing, massively important technique, setup. I mean, it's the start of everything. This is huge right the way throughout the game. But set up with my chipping, we're talking just a basic chip shot here. Ball position wise, start with it central of my feet. I'll take just a small step with my right foot, tiny bit bigger with my left, so it's in between the middle and the back of my stance. So from there, what I'll do is I'll pull that left foot back and turn that left foot out. And that just means that I can remain balanced as I turn through it and hit the chip shot when my weight goes all through onto that left side. So from behind, it looks like that. I'm stood quite open, feet look open, hips open, shoulders open, and what that's going to do, being open, is sternum is pointing left of the ball. So if I've got a stick out my chest, that is pointing a couple of inches in front of the ball. So if you can imagine like a flashlight off your chest, and it speaks about this in the book, pointing left of the ball, that's going to be the low point of the swing. So I'm not going to be hitting the ground back there, as long as my sternum doesn't tilt back, stays in the same place. That's going to be the low point of my swing. I'm kind of confident I'm not going to duff it from there. So once you've got the setup, you know, I wouldn't say it's right or wrong. This is just the way that I feel is working for me. Once you got that setup as is, everything's open. Next most important thing for me is making sure from setup, I'll have a slight cup in that left wrist. Ball slightly back, I've got a slight cup in that left wrist, even though there's a bit of shaft lean. I'm making sure throughout the swing, that cup remains. It's not going like that. That left wrist isn't flattening. Because from there, that's too shallow. I'm just going to hit the deck and duff central, don't want that. So cup in the left wrist, you can see that club face is actually open. It's not getting shut here. And from there, I feel like I can just release it down. Gets me using the bounce more, and using the bounce is just going to create so much more confidence. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to technique. Confidence builds because you've got a little bit of room for error. You don't need to play for the perfect shot, and using the bounce, using that back bit of the club rather than leading edge, that's going to give you confidence. You don't need to strike it perfect. Even one you catch maybe slightly heavy, ball's still going to go in the air and it's still going to go quite close to your target. That's an important thing as well, is making sure, so you've set yourself up, chest is open, pointing in front of the ball. You watch some of the best, Seve especially, his head never moves back, never. Always energy flows to the target. As long as you do that, and if you struggle with duffing it, hitting the ground before, from there, it's kind of difficult to hit it heavy. From here, no chance, unless from there, that's where the body's going to react, because it tries to get the club back on plane. Certainly if you've played the game long enough, you've got the knowledge of where the club needs to be, and the body tries to react to get it there, and that's when you get into trouble, when you can't trust it. So feeling of club being in the position you want it to be in, club face open, butt of the club point at the target, still got the cup in the left wrist, and just feel like it releases. Club just drops, support it with chest turn, and that feels for me something that's basic and that I can repeat more often than not. Next most important thing for me, this is massive for me, is the plane of the swing. So where that club head and where the hands travel, because that is one of my faults. When the club gets behind me, wrist gets flat, and I'm struggling. But I need a bit of technological kit for this one, which is very, very technologically advanced. So just to show you how to set up the mirror with amazing masking tape. You don't need to use masking tape. You can use anything. Any sort of tape or a dry board marker works just as well. Get your club up against the mirror. Sit it so the sole is flat on the ground. And then you're just going to stick the tape the same angle as the shaft. So a line moving up the mirror, exactly the same angle that your club would sit on. You don't need to rest the mirror on a portable radiator like I have. That's not compulsory. And what we're looking for is, as I set up to the ball, I want the shaft of the club, as I look back in the mirror, to be running straight up that masking tape. It's not a sentence you make every day, is it, that? So I've set up, look back in the mirror, I can't see the shaft, the head, and I can just see my hands just underneath that line. So as I take the club back, I want the hands to stay on the same line, club head moves up the tape, it doesn't get inside it. From there I can feel like I just dropped the club. Oh, for f***'s sake. And I can then make a swing that traces the hands, club head, keep moving up that tape. I don't want it so that the club gets underneath that tape, because that's when I'm flat. That's my bad move, when I lose the cup in that left wrist, and that's when I'm likely to hit a duff. So trace it back, all the way up, and just release. And two other things that I like to do with this sort of, I call it a training aid, it's not just homemade, but one arm swings, exact same setup as with a normal chip, just the left arm, still got that cup in the left wrist, trace up. You see straight away I want to pull my left hand inside that tape. I wouldn't know that if that wasn't there, so move it up the tape, same with the club head. It gets you a feeling for what the left arm does. Play a shot with it. Hit the camera, that's good. Same thing with the right arm. Feel it, staying on the side of your body. Up the tape, let it just drop and turn through. And it just gives you a feeling for what left and right arm are doing during the swing, the positions they're meant to get in, and then just play a few normal shots like that, train it in, and then take it out and try and apply it to a bit of competition practice if you can. I'm sat on something that I need for my challenge though. Me bucket, that echoes, me bucket. This is me bucket, there you go, it's a bit gross inside. You can use a clean bucket if you want. This one's quite small, to be fair, and I like to put a towel in it as well, so then when the ball goes in it doesn't just bounce out. So I'll put my bucket in the garden, 6 balls, I've just done 6 balls, that's what I've just done, that's 4 fingers that. 6 balls, put them 10 yards away from the bucket. I've got my 50-degree wedge, my 54-degree wedge, and my 58-degree wedge. I've got to get 2 balls in the bucket with each wedge, totaling 6, in the least amount of shots possible. And the thing with that is I'm trying to get the least shots as I can, so every shot counts, which is really important. I can go back, try and beat the number that I get today, can beat that on another day. And also, this is the main thing, I've got a freshly baked Victoria sponge in the kitchen, which I really want, so I want to get this game done. So I'm going to get out there now, smash this challenge in, and then smash in a Victoria sponge. Oh, there's the dog. Paddy. So what are we doing? Practicing? Just practicing with the dog. Run along. First shot, 58. I'm going to change it. I'll hit 1 with 58, 1 with 54, 1 with 50, and then 1 with 58, 1 with 54, 1 with 50 again, because I think changing the club after every shot just gets you back into a mode of focusing. Not just going, oh, I've missed it, hit another one. Or, oh, I've hold it, hit another one. That's the positive thought in it. Don't say, oh, I've missed it. Let's just hold it, focus, full routine, 58. Was close. It wasn't bad, that, to be fair. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about focusing on the finish position when you're in full routine, not when you're working technically, but just fully trying to be in the flow and focus on target. The shot you select to play, focus on where the club finishes. because that's going to determine the ball flight. So if I want to play a low one, I feel like the club stays low and I'm not letting the right hand get underneath it. I'm actually turning it over, almost taking a little draw. And if I want to play it higher, my finish position is there. Make sure the loft is looking at me. Kept the loft on, the ball will pop up in the air. Just takes away your thought process of trying to get it in certain positions, because if you feel like I've got to get it here and then you don't, you're so aware of technique that then it's like your body reacts and goes, well, you've got to correct that somehow, and then it's like, oh, and that's when you put a hole through the fence. We're on 54 now. I open it up slightly, same setup, left foot turned out, sternum open in front of the ball, slightly open, exact same technique. Keep the loft on it. Go. Close again, but still 0. Got me 50 now, so I'm going to have to open this up quite a bit. So the finish position is going to be keeping the loft on, looking at me. Loft looking at me. Feel the technique in practice swing, that's fine, but when you come to play it, the only focus is on the finish position. Go. Not a great start, that, is it? The thing is, when you chip into a bucket like that, is not to lose confidence. They've all been pretty close. So for me, I'm thinking, if that's landed on a green, I'm trying to land it in the middle of that, and I've landed it there, it's still going to be close. So confidence-wise, I don't lose it just because I've missed the bucket. But I need it in the bucket because I want my Victoria sponge. 58, I need some of these in now, really. Chance. Oh. It's good because each one, I'm counting, you know, I've had 4 shots now, not got any. And I'm keeping a record of how many it takes me to get 6 in. And it's something I can come back tomorrow and try and beat it. So I'm under pressure on every shot counts. That's the key, making sure every single shot counts and it doesn't annoy you so much. I'm sort of rambling a little bit because I can feel myself getting angry and I just need a bit of time. Now, I hadn't picked the shot then. Hadn't picked the shot. That would have been one. It would have been quite entertaining because I'd probably gone, no, don't know what I'm doing. So, my process is key to me not kneeing it. See, I'm just feeling keeping that cup in the left wrist. That's so important for me. Otherwise, it goes that way and shut, and that's when you can duff it. Only feeling that in the practice swing, though. Feel it when I play it. I'm just focusing finish position and getting it to target. Target. Oh, what? This bucket is small. This bucket is very small, obviously. Or I'm rubbish. The bucket's small. The bucket is small. $50. Wow. 0 for 5. So you can see with 50, as I open up, my hands are lower. Because I've added that loft, I want the whole sole. I want to use the bounce. I want the whole sole on the ground. If it was a bad lie, I might have it toe down. But for here, I want it whole sole on the ground. So as I open it up, the heel lifts off, so I've got to lower my hands a little bit. Just helps me feel like that proper release and use the bounce as I want to. So that's none out of 6. 0, that, none. Right, I've chipped me 6 balls back up. I've gathered me thoughts because I felt myself like I was about to blow up then. This is going to be good. These 6, I'm going to get at least 3 now. At least 3 in the bucket. Redeem myself. That's so good. That's so... Butterfly. Butterfly there. That just take my mind away from the fact that that's missed. 54. What's he doing? What are you doing? What? I can't chip it now. There's a pigeon. Come here. Hello. Hello. Hello, pigeon. Hold on. Stay there, pigeon. Stay there. I've got some seeds for the pigeon. Come here. Pigeon. Pigeon. Look. Look, pigeon. Look. Throw them at you. Seeds. Oh, seeds. No, he's just waddling round. He's just waddling. He's a nice pigeon though, look at him. Okay, I'm focused on my chip shot now with me 54. But I have just put some seeds on the little ledge. So I'm hoping the pigeon's going to be there, but I'm focused on the chipping. Pigeon inspiration. Why wouldn't it go in the bucket? 8 shots now and I haven't got one in. He's just sat on the top of the fence. I need him on the little... Focus on the chipping. It's okay. It's okay. You can chip 3 in a row in. You can chip 3 in a row in. Not a problem. Back on the 50. Control your emotions. Start again. These 3 in. Come on. Finally, right, 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. That was the hardest wedge as well, the 50. Okay, we're in the game, we're in. 54. Bumblebee in the way. Sorry mate, can you just carry on that way. Thank you. Got it. I've got it. I found it. I found it. That was a rubbish strike, to be honest. That's a good example of using the bounce, because I hit the ground before the ball then, got to be honest. But because I've used the bounce, it's not affected the chip. So you're giving yourself room for error, so you can be confident that actually you don't need to hit the perfect shot. And it still goes in the bucket. And this should be the easiest one. It's 58, it's just a straightforward chip. So I was going to get 3 out of 3. This is the best chance I've got. But also 3 out of 12. But 3 out of 3. That was in. Why has he got a whizzer out? It's 2 out of 12. 4 balls. I've got to get 2 with me 58, 1 with me 54, 1 with me 50. I'm going 58 first. Good start. What's that? 4 out of 13. Right, we've got to get 1 each with each wedge again. Smashed it. Smash that then. Right, come on, 50. Get done with the 50 now. Nah, it's too low. Got to play it higher than that, than 50. 58. This is for 4 out of 16. Come on. Victoria Sponge, come on. Oh, I'm going to lose the plot in a minute. I'm going to lose the plot in a minute. Seriously frustrating this. This is the way that I can feel on the course, and I can feel it in here. Like just... Like I could just go mad. If I didn't have neighbours, I would. Just get it in the bucket. Right, 50. Focus on the shot, don't focus on the... I'd have this feeling on the course, so this is something I have to deal with. You know, if you've made like a couple of bogeys or something, this is how I'd feel, so it's actually really good practice. Even though at times it feels like it's annoying, but it's fine. No. Right, I've got to be positive about this, because I've said to you before, my short game isn't where I want it to be, but the thing is a couple of years ago, I'd have been duffing it short of the bucket, and my striking's pretty good, and most of them are pretty close to going in the bucket, so I've got to take the positives from that, and there's definitely massive gains in my chipping, so I'm not going to be negative. I feel better already. Look at that. Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts in the bucket. 50's gone. We're closer. I've got to be honest, if there was a club that was going to be left, I didn't think it'd be my 54, 58. I thought 50 would be the hardest one. The first one to get the job done. Maybe it's because I have to think about it a bit more. I have to be a little bit creative, open it up a little bit. I don't know. But I'm relieved we've got that in. We've got 2 shots to go. Right, we've had 17 efforts. I know that doesn't sound great, but that is a small target. Very small target. And, like I said before, take the positives. Positive thinking. Positive it'll go in the bucket. No, it won't. It won't. It'll rebound off the bucket and nearly come back to my feet. That's what'll happen. So we've had 18. I can still get 20. It'll be 6 out of 20. I've got to get these 2 in. I've got 58 and a 54. This one has to go. This is a real situation that I want to be in, a feeling of I really want to get it done, because I do want to get it done. I know it's just practice, but there's consequence. I want to keep the number 20 or below so that I can come out tomorrow and try and beat it. Granted, I should be able to beat it, but it's harder than I thought this would be, to be honest. But there's a few little things in my chipping action today that I can kind of feel. I don't know, it doesn't quite feel right, and I'll talk about that afterwards, and I'll work on it again, but it's all work in progress for me, and it's taking the positives that every chip is pretty close, really, you know, and the chances of you landing an exact spot are not that high when you get on the course, but the chances of you picking the exact spot that's going to be right to hole it are quite slim as well. So you've got to kind of think of it logically and take the positives out of it and be confident when you go on the course, and that's what the purpose of this practice is. So I'm much more positive finishing here than a middle section. I'll admit I was a little bit getting angry, but I'm not anymore. 58, this one's going in. That felt good. That perfect. Like, I don't know if you noticed then, but I got so much more into my routine. I felt so much more focused on that because I had to get it, that's what I've got to be like on every shot. With these, yeah, that's something that I should do right the way through. I'm always saying I need to do routine. That was like proper, fully focused. Did everything I was meant to do. Not that I didn't do that in the first ones. I probably went through the motion a little bit in the middle, especially when I started missing and kind of focusing on that. But that makes such a difference. 1, thinking positively, and 2, proper focus on the shot. I've got it. I've got 1 shot with a 54 to get 6 shots and 20 efforts. That was my target. Same thing, same level of intensity on this. Shouldn't be a problem. Right, last shot, hopefully. 54. Sun's come out for it. This is it. Oh, is it? Genuine relief, that. Genuine relief. I felt like midway through that I could have been there all day. Could have been there all day. What a joke that is, the difference at the end when you can get your mind focused properly. That's I couldn't give a better demonstration of how much mental preparation for a shot makes a difference. Just over the ball, I was so focused on the target. The other shots, I was focused on the target, but just sort of looking at the target, not really. It's hard to explain, but it's almost like I see the target with, like, you know, the Spider-Man eyes when it like focuses in. That's what those last two were like. 6 out of 20. I know that's not that impressive, but I am so happy with that. And technical, I still need to work technique-wise, but that is just miles better. I know 6 out of 20 isn't brilliant, but that is a small bucket, for one, and I was pretty close to the bucket most times. And the thing is, confidence-wise, if I've picked the right landing spot on the green and I'm getting close to it, like as close as getting to the bucket, the likelihood is it's going to end up pretty close. So although it's 6 balls in the bucket out of 20, I'm probably getting it up and down 15 out of 20 times there, which is good. You know, if I can do that, and I know the straightforward chips and there's a lot of variation to the shots, which is why I use the 3 wedges. But it's something that is a confidence builder if you keep it that way. So I've got to make sure I keep thinking, like, you know what, I'd probably get up and down rather than thinking, oh, I've missed the bucket, it's rubbish. I've got to think more positively and be like, right, well, I'd probably got that up and down. But it's interesting watching a couple of the videos back, which I've just done. And as important as it is, like I said at the start of the video, to make sure your technique is right that you're working on, it's important to know what your own faults are and make sure you keep on top of them. So looking at the video back, a couple of the ones I missed, my fault is, spoke about keeping that left wrist cupped. My fault is it goes that way. Club head gets behind my hands. That's the club head in front. Club head gets behind my hands. And from there, it's difficult to release it properly. I've got to manipulate it somehow. I've got to almost come back over the top to get it. Because if I'm there and I just release it naturally down, just your low point is way behind the ball, you're way too shallow. So if I can feel like it's more out in front, at least level, that butt of the club is now pointing at the target, I can just let that drop, support it with my body turn, use the bounce, and you can release the club properly. So try that yourself, if you can. If you've got enough garden to do it, get a bucket, possibly one that's bigger than mine so it won't be as annoying. See how many times it takes you to get 6 balls in using 3 different wedges. And let me know in the comments if you could, because I love a challenge. If you haven't got a Victoria sponge, you don't need to use that as your reward, but that's what I've got. I'm very much looking forward to mine now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.